let's dive right in to part 2. So if you have Aries rising, this is a 9th house new moon for you. So that's higher education, it's long distance travel, long distance communication, things like publishing or broadcasting, especially over the internet, anything involving large audiences or long distances. The 9th house also has to do with religion and philosophy. It has to do with law. It has to do with big ideas. And it's really related to themes of Sagittarius. And so for Aries rising, there's going to be some dual meaning for you there. For Taurus rising, this is an 8th house new moon. And so that's other people's resources that are at your disposal. That's investment earnings, insurance, taxes or inheritance monies. Now, for insurance and taxes, this could be taxes that you owe or refunds that are due you. It could be insurance premiums, or it could be insurance claims and payouts that are being paid to you. So it could be money flowing both ways. It can also involve bonus or commission income. And the 8th house also relates to themes around the occult and death, rebirth, and transformation. Okay. 8th house is also psychology, it's research, it's investigation, it's anywhere where you have to kind of dive deep. And the 8th house also can involve themes of healing. Okay. Gemini, this is a 7th house new moon for you. So Gemini, this is partnership, it's marriage, it's business, it's relationships with other people in general. It's what we reject about ourselves, when we're talking about the descendant specifically, what we reject about ourselves and what we tend to project onto other people. Okay. For Cancer rising, this will be a 6th house new moon for you. So it has to do with work, health, pets, and daily routines, employees if you have them, schedules, habits, those sorts of things. When you have a new moon in Cancer, it can be a really, really, really great time to add a good habit into your lifestyle, into your schedule, into your daily routines, whether that's an exercise habit or a new eating regimen, like a healthier diet, where you're going to try to add in foods that you know are good for you, that you don't get enough of. But new moons in your house of schedules and habits are a great time to add a new habit. You could add a new daily meditation habit, or any sort of positive practice that you want to make part of your daily schedule or your regular schedule. A new moon in your 6th house is a wonderful time to do that, where it's an eclipse. That can make it a really powerful force for change, and it can make it a long-term habit, a long-term change for you, a permanent change. So if you have a Cancer rising and you are thinking about making a positive change to your health, or adding a new good habit to your lifestyle, definitely use this new moon solar eclipse to do that. If you have Leo rising, this will be a 5th house new moon. So that's creativity, that's children, that's romance and true love, right? The 5th house is the natural house of Leo, right? Which rules the heart. So this has to do with pleasurable activities. It has to do with things that we take pleasure and pride in, that we enjoy doing. 5th house also rules sports, it rules risk-taking, it rules gambling. So those are other areas where you might take a creative risk if you have Leo rising as your initiative for the new moon solar eclipse. If you have Virgo rising by the Fagin Bradley zodiac, this will be a 4th house new moon for you. So it has to do with home and family, it has to do with real estate, can involve your later life, can also involve your parents, either one or both of them. And if we're talking about just a single parent, then we probably want to take a closer look at your own natal chart to determine which of them is ruled by the 4th house in your chart. It can be either the father or the mother. And I've noticed that generally you'll know by looking at your own chart which the 4th house rules versus the 10th house. But like I said, home, family, real estate, later life, and parents. If you have Libra rising, this will be a 3rd house new moon for you. So it has to do with transportation and communication. It has to do with travel over short distances. It has to do with education. It has to do with siblings and neighbors, your immediate environment, your own neighborhood, right? So you could look for a change in your daily commute potentially if you have Libra rising, or you could have an opportunity to get involved in a writing project, or even get involved in like a short class or educational project, that sort of thing. For Scorpio rising, this is a second house new moon for you. So this is really powerful. Scorpio, pay attention. Snap, snap. Scorpio rising, second house. This is a financial house, right? This has to do with earned income. Has to do with money that comes from the efforts of your own two hands, the fruits of your labors. Wealth and possessions, movable assets, expenses are also ruled by the second house. The reason why you want to pay attention is because, like I just said in part 1 of this broadcast, this is a significant new moon. It's a solar eclipse. It's super powerful. It's ruled by Jupiter. It's a planet of expansion. There's already a stellium going on in Sagittarius. Need I say more? Don't waste this opportunity, Scorpio rising, or I will lecture you in 6 months when we have our full moon in Sagittarius, okay? Whenever you have a new moon in your financial house, it can be a wonderful opportunity to explore ways to add to your income or to grow your income. Now, that could be by starting a side hustle. It could be by taking on a second job. It could be by selling some of your possessions. It could be by making things to sell. It could be by asking for a raise. If you feel that you have earned a salary increase, ask your boss for a raise. So there's any number of ways that you could take steps to increase your income at a new moon in the second house. But the fact of the matter is that they don't happen unless you take those steps, right? This is true of any new moon, but we also know that an eclipse is a particularly powerful new moon. So you have, if you have Scorpio rising, a really powerful opportunity to boost your income, especially with a payoff in the next 6 to 12 months, if you will but take action right now to find a way to boost your income. Okay, so Scorpio rising, you really are strongly encouraged by moi to take those steps within 10 days of this eclipse, because the benefit to you could potentially be enormous. Sagittarius, happy birthday. Sagittarius. So this is a first house new moon for you. If you have Sagittarius rising, it's your birthday new moon, which is fantastic because that means you get to use it any way that you want to. We'll talk about what first house themes are, though, just in case you choose to use it in one of those ways. The first house has to do with your personality. It has to do with your self-expression, your mannerisms, your behaviors, your physical body, your appearance. It has to do with the role that you play in the world and how other people perceive you, right? The way you come off. Not the way you think you are, that's the sun. But this is how you really are, right? So if you want to use this new moon as an opportunity to reinvent yourself, Sagittarius, you could certainly do that. You could also use it to give yourself a makeover and kind of change your appearance, change your look, do something fresh and new there as well. And if that's what strikes your fancy, by all means, enjoy yourself. It's your birthday, right? But expect that your role in the world could change significantly in the coming year. If you have Sagittarius rising, that's something that you might keep an eye on for 2020. For Capricorn, if you have Capricorn rising, this is going to be a 12th house new moon for you. So that has to do with privacy and seclusion. It has to do with spirituality. It has to do with the unconscious mind. The 12th house also rules highly personal projects, private projects, solo projects, things you do behind closed doors, or things you work on your own in isolation out of the public eye. And the 12th house also rules spiritual practices, so things like meditation or contemplation, spiritual practices that you might conduct individually on your own. And institutions of seclusion, so places where you go to be away from the world. Okay, so themes around institutions of seclusion could come up for those of you who have Capricorn or Capricorn rising. For Aquarius, this is an 11th house new moon. So friends, organizations, hopes and dreams, one of my favorite houses to work with. And with this being an eclipse, I think that's really significant. And just like Scorpio, I'm going to lecture you, Aquarius rising, take advantage of this new moon. It's a significant opportunity. It's powerful juju, and you're going to want to use it, and it won't use itself. You have to take action, right? The part of fortune and the ascendant are exactly conjunct at this particular eclipse. Now, the ascendant, of course, is the point where we interact with the physical plane, right? That's where the non-physical and the physical meet. That's what the ascendant describes, where we emerge into the material plane and have an effect on it. And the part of fortune, the lot of fortune, has to do with material wealth and riches and fortunate events and fortunate things. So if you want to take advantage of any good fortune that this particular eclipse might contain, you're going to have to get out there and get involved in the world and take action in it in order for that to happen. So Aquarius, friends, organizations, the house of hopes and dreams, that's big juju. Take action towards a long-held hope or dream. If you have Aquarius rising within 10 days of this particular eclipse, please do it. You'll see the payoff. 6 to 12 months is what you're looking at, and it could be a big deal for you. For Pisces rising, this is a 10th house new moon. Finally, Pisces, career, awards, recognition, status, achievement, and reputation. Now, where that's tricky is that we already talked about some of the astrology of this new moon and how it's much more likely that individual recognition will get lost kind of in the wayside, much more in favor of group recognition related to events or outcomes related to this particular new moon. So I will caution you, if you have Pisces rising and this is a 10th house full moon or new moon for you, take action, please, because it could be significant. It could be major shifting, life-altering type of outcomes for you. But just note that it may be the type of outcome or the type of recognition, the type of fame or achievement that's based on the achievements of the group as a whole, the group that you're contributing to as an individual. So just keep that point in mind as you progress with this if you have Pisces rising, and then also keep in mind, like I said, pay attention to details. Make an extra effort to pay attention to details, because doing that is where you have your strongest chance at individual recognition with this particular eclipse. Okay, so now that we have covered all of that, that pretty well wraps up part 2 of the broadcast. So we're going to take a moment and move on to part 3.